So, are we live yet? Starting 3, 2. Hey, there I am. That's what I like to see. I am live. Late on Vlog Thursday, but live. So, the reason I'm so late is occasionally... Oh, hold on. I can hear myself, so I got to stop that. All right. So, reason I'm late is I have to do business things occasionally. And so you and my friends start talking about this, and I'll just start with this. I am actually very, maybe introverted. I don't even know if that's the right term because that seems like a very generic term. But I don't want to not just sit in front of a computer. I like being at my house. I like kind of sitting in my office and doing things. Like, that's what I want to do. So that's often what I do. And because of that, I feel like I'm forcing myself to go out, but then I kind of have to. But then once I get out there, I don't want to not be out there, and then I end up staying late. So I was at a Chamber of Commerce event. I did have something I was mandatory to do. I'm on the board that helps make decisions with the Southern Maine County Regional Chamber. So, you know, we raise our hands, we vote on things, yay and nay, and the ayes have it, and fun things like that. But so it's just, you know, some of the things that you kind of need to get out there as a business owner, because a lot of my business still is not just from, you know, people I meet on YouTube or people that contract us. A lot of my business is still from, you know, all the businesses we service, and many of those businesses I met through the Chamber of Commerce. And like I said, I like interacting and laughing, and I ended up having a bunch of fun with a bunch of people. And there was a person with a T-shirt shooting gun because it turned into a tailgate party, so they were shooting T-shirts up in the air, and it's just, that's fun, it's entertaining, and that's what I do when I'm not doing some of the techie things that I'm doing. I have to put the business owner hat on, and you know, it's all right. So Vlog Thursday started late, but that's probably going to change the dynamic of who gets a chance to join in on the chat here. I'm seeing we got about 18 people so far, but I think we're going to change the dynamic because, you know, a lot of people always say, "Oh, I just caught it." Like, I catch up with some people at the end, and now it's like, well, they'll be able to join in because normally I'm done by now. Especially 8:30. It's 8:30 p.m. and I had to come back to my office. And part of the advantage, and I went to the chamber event because it's 2 miles from my office, so I made that pretty cool. Anyways, if you looked at I don't pay attention, but maybe you do. When I set the thumbnails, but you'll see 6 cats as the thumbnail for this, and that's why part of the title is Cat 6. We have our first few shirts thrown up there in Teespring. There's a link in the doobly-doo below for that. So definitely, if you're interested in any of the shirts, we have a bunch of design ideas. We just threw a couple of them out there. Kyle has actually been working on them, so we've been laughing and coming up with shirt ideas and just trying to get it out there. We are not sure where we're going with it. We're trying to come up with something humorous. We wanted something a little bit more unique. I liked it. I've seen Chris's shirts from Crosstalk, and Willie's got the really cool one that says "Move Bit," so I like that a lot. So definitely some cool stuff out there. And the other thing we're going to talk about is CodelQ a little bit. I see someone says that I missed a discussion. Nope, haven't brought it up yet. And I'm not an absolute, guru on it, but I did find that for my uploads, it actually seems to have solved some of the jitter problems that we're having. Now, here's the thing. The traffic shaping we were using previously in pfSense has worked fine for VoIP and whatnot. But we have a couple of unique things. One of the things is we host our own Unifi controller. And we host Screen Connect, which is our remote access software. We have a lot of data flowing back and forth through our network at any given time. So we always assume that's why the YouTube stream was bad. But I'm actually noticing the stream health is better right now. And that's kind of interesting. I don't know if that has to do with the CodelQ, because I just completely switched it for this video and set it up. And so, yeah, I'm interested if that works. That's why I brought that up. It says, will CodelQ make my live stream better? I don't know. I actually did 2 things. I actually bumped up the live stream to what was an unusable setting before, and it seems to be working. Let me know in the message here if there's any goofiness going on with the stream or if it's broken. So I'm interested in that. And just overall, we'll just go complete potato and go back down to, really low resolution. Does Unifi generate a lot of traffic? I don't know that it's a lot of traffic, but it's a lot of packets. So in terms of volume of packets, there's a lot of packets coming forth because, well, we've got a lot of clients and we've got a lot of Unifi deployed. And so as we've got this deployed and all these things are coming back and sending packets back in, it's just creating a stream. The second thing is all the Screen Connect sessions. There's over 500 of them right now. So we have 500 computers that are all, pinging back home and across lots of different networks. So there's just a lot of states that are coming through here, IP firewall states. And as that comes through here, I just, it makes our network a little bit different than like a standard small business network. Most of them, a lot of their small businesses, they have no ports open at all. There's no need to open any ports. So it makes it really, So someone says the stream is great here on the train in Tokyo. I'm jealous. So looks smooth on DC Hotel Wi-Fi. So I have not only increased the stream for this particular session, I think the CodelQ really is helping. So this was one of our curiosities. I just didn't realize, I guess there's probably just a lot of things caught up in the queue when I'm trying to upload stuff. And we don't do other than the Thursday live stream, so it's not something I put a ton of effort into solving. I just said, I'll look at the firewall sometime, because I'm the one that would probably diagnose the firewall in more depth, and Steve didn't really put it a priority because he focuses on customer stuff, and neither did Kyle or Eric. So it's just kind of got by the wayside. So I think this CodelQ actually seemed to have solved it. So that's pretty awesome. The other thing is the breakage of pfSense. I see a lot of people commenting on that. Some people hating on it and things like that. Whatever. Mistakes were made and bug reports are filed. That's kind of my attitude on how all that went. So I am overall happy with 2.4.4. We haven't had any other issues other than the upgrade itself being a problem. Any machine that we have upgraded has worked perfectly fine. They're running stable. They're not having any weird lockup or reboot or strange problems after the fact. Someone said they had a problem with HA proxy they had to solve, but it sounded like it was the same thing. It was an upgrade problem, but once upgraded, went into settings and saved them and it worked again. So I'm hoping that stays that way. Let's see. I'm curious what packet per minute goes through my pfSense because my Unifi controller, I know my firewall is still super overpowered, 8-core Avaton. Yeah, so the thing is, it's not, and this is where people get things a little bit mixed up. Firewalls handle, even if they don't have a lot of horsepower, even if they don't, like the SG3100. I have a follow-up video I want to do on the SG3100 that's installed at a client, and it doesn't have a lot of horsepower, so it does not run things very well that need a lot, like the NetFlow tools and things like that. But the amount of packets that a firewall can handle, even without a powerful processor, is really a lot. So and there's two factors here. You have all the state tables and you have all of the flows that go through. When you want to apply some type of analytics to those flows with, net data, with Suricata, where you want to inspect them, that's when you start taking up processor time and it matters. But the speed at which those flows are going through can be facilitated on a very lower end processor because it's just handling it, applying a rule, and sending it back out, to its destination through usually NAT translation. So it doesn't really require some incredibly fast firewall to handle a larger volume of traffic. It requires very specific chips on the firewall. And this is why, like the Unifi, the small edge routers, that's how they can have when the basic rules set in there, no deep packet inspection, no deep analysis, but the edge router has the ability to route really good traffic, and it's a $49 router. It's not very high wattage. It means it can't do much, but it can apply some basic rules. But for example, a lot of home users, you're not opening any ports, so unless you're doing something custom and hosting things like we are. But for a lot of your, let's say, general home users, not the enthusiasts that are probably following this channel, comes in, matches up the state tables, and away it goes. So it's really simple from there. Let's see, how many packets per minute? Hey, thank you, Brian Krups. Holy crap, I made a live stream. Thanks for all you do, Tom. Learned so much from you. If you ever make it to Alabama, I owe you a nice dinner at least. I imagine there's some good barbecue down there too. Well, it seems like once I go south, we have a few good barbecue places here, but as you go south, I think the barbecue gets a little better. You know, maybe it's just because I'm on vacation when I'm down there, but I always feel as though there's really good barbecue when I go down south, and I always appreciate that. I will probably do some more firewall videos that talk about how to see how many packets per minute. I think my troubleshooting pfSense video I did not that long ago, and I talk about some of the diagnostics tools. And one of the reasons I like pfSense is because it has just a Swiss Army knife, style of just all these different tools, so I can really do some data analysis and do some summaries to kind of look at that. There's some real-time reporting you can do inside of pfSense to kind of get all that. Actually, I don't even think I can open it up right now. And I probably shouldn't. I won't screw around my firewall while I'm doing a live stream. That just seems like a horrible idea. So we'll keep my fingers off the keyboard and the firewall for the moment. So we're good on that. Let's see. Hey, Tom, we're in a small IT business, mostly break fix. We're getting our first customer that has a current ID that isn't us. What information we need from the old provider? I try to, because I don't always trust the information to say that it's accurate. And it's funny because I've had people say, well, the elder IT company, you want to turn over anything. I'm like, are you sure they had anything? Are you sure they documented things very well? Because one of them that we took over, they had created documents. They were completely wrong. Not even the subnets were in the same range. So everything we got from them was useless. I mean, get every password, get as much as you can from them, but look at it with a skeptical eye. So get the passwords, get the anything. Look for any type of remote tools they may have left on there. Do they have TeamViewer set up? Do they have any other remote access tools? Are they using some of the, look for if they were like a MSP, are they using some of the tools that MSPs use, like if ConnectWise being really popular, or just SolarWinds systems? Do they have the little ConnectWise install tool? Look for it in tray there. Honestly, I mean, I would prefer, and it depends on where you're going with IT, when you take over from another IT, just to wipe, clean, nuke, and pave. I mean, that's preferred, but not likely to happen unless the customer's really ready for that. But yeah, ask them for as much as you have. What do you guys use for full disk encryption Windows workstations? BitLocker, the Microsoft one. Let's see. Ironically, many years ago, I worked for said IT company. They have documentation, but are reluctant to give anything to the customer or anyone else. Yeah, some IT companies are really weird. They really don't want customers messing with anything. I don't know. I can understand the argument for that. We've always just had a laid-back approach. And it sometimes is, I guess, there is a level of aggravation, but they understand. We have an unmanaged client that likes to play with things. He has the passwords to things. He randomly decided to, I'm not sure what inspired this, but he did hold the reset button in 3 of his Unifi cameras. He can't really explain why he did it either. So we just we went there and fixed it. We sent him a bill, and he's fine to pay. He doesn't even argue with it. He just kind of has fun learning, and he has money, so he resets things. I don't know why. Let's see. I don't use QoS normally. I wasn't aware of that Bufferbloat issue. Very curious to get home and update pfSense and then test before after turning it on. Yep. The Bufferbloat issue doesn't necessarily affect everyone. I've had, and there's a lot of variances here. So to kind of conceptualize the Bufferbloat a little bit is I have a very fast connection between here through the network, very low latency to my firewall. So my computer's ability to send a lot of data to the firewall is excellent because I'm on my own local network, very low latency. And then there's also lots of other things on my network, like I had mentioned. Our servers and all the things we host internally, and they're all fighting for attention. So if you're in a small home network, that may be less of an issue until, let's say you have kids gaming on there, and you have a few kids gaming on there. Now they're all fighting for it, and they all have low latency connections locally till they hit the firewall. And what you want your firewall to do, and I referred to Mark for now. His videos, like he kind of does a good explanation for how packet scheduling works. It's not just QoS, it's really about packet scheduling and making sure like, hey, all these come in here. And then you have your MTUs and you have your how the framing is lined up. And it's kind of like there's frames, and I would use, and I'll do a verbal analogy here of like freight cars coming in and them getting loaded. Well, if they're traveling at a certain speed, but you're loading at a different speed, you overload one, but underload the next one, and you now cause a problem. That's what a lot of this packet scheduling is about, is making sure packet scheduling is done well. And the CodelQ 1 is very popular because it is kind of a hands-off. You just say this is how much bandwidth it has, and from there the algorithm can take care of the rest and make the calculations and come up with a queuing and put the buckets in the right order and make sure that they're filled properly before going out. So it's just an organizing method. So it's pretty cool. Looking for a POS system to work with Invoice Ninja. I don't know, because we use Invoice Ninja as our point of sale, but we're not a retail. We have a retail store, but we don't really do retail. We're not like scanning and standing there selling stuff. So that's not, I don't know what works with it. Well, let's see. I got a call my client saying their network was weird. Turns out the point of sale support. Reset the managed switch. Yeah, that's always fun. Unplug and reset stuff, no logical reasons, they did it. Yeah, there's a lot of times you just run into people just kind of doing things like that. It always creates this surprises for us. We had a guy, we're not sure why, he brought a router from home, like a generic D-Link one, and thought, I don't know what he was thinking, but he was the VP of the company and he can do things like this. So he plugged it in and pushed DHCP back into the network. I don't know why, but of course that created real puzzles when you're trying to solve things and some computers are jumping to another network. You're like, where are they finding this DHCP server? How does this happen? And then you're like, why is there something new plugged in over here? This is where locking down managed switches and completely locking them to only authenticate with certain MAC addresses isn't just a security thing. It's a keep people from doing really dumb things thing. So there's that. Yesterday I was at the TEDx Detroit after party, and that's also why I'm kind of exhausted looking, in case you're wondering, in my enthusiasm level. I'm pushing hard, but Detroit is well known for its parties and dive bars. So after the TEDx Detroit event, I went with friends out to the dive bars, and I was out way too late, and I am pre-wired to wake up at 5 a.m. even though I went to bed at 3. So I am finally, it's because it's 8:30 p.m. here, or 8:42 p.m. here, so I'm finally slowing down. But the nice thing is I don't have anything to do after this. It's like I'm doing this, and then I'm probably just going to watch Star Trek and fall asleep when I get home. Or maybe if I leave early enough, I will watch some Ozark, for those of you have gotten into watching that. So yeah, Rogue DHCP servers are so much fun. Do you deploy YubiKey Cloud Keys on your AP installs? No. We only deploy a Cloud Key when the client wants to manage their APs. That actually doesn't happen as often. We offer a managed Wi-Fi service for them, and they're perfectly fine with that, where we take care of all the APs and the updates, and so we keep the controller in-house and host it in our controller. And majority of our clients are perfectly fine with that. They think that's great. Let's see. I have an R720 throwing out a CPU machine check, and CPU causes server to crash. Running diagnostics currently. Yep, definitely do that. The CPUs, it happens. I have one sitting on a shelf up here. I had a Xeon just decide to give up the ghost. It decided it didn't want to work no more. It happens. Let's see. Unifi Cloud Key 2. Defective so far. I don't know. I've not tested it. I've not really followed any reviews on it. So I've only got a few of the old cloud. We probably only got like 3 or 4 cloud keys deployed. We just don't have many of them deployed because kind of a lack of need. A lot of times, even when they do put them in themselves, it's not a cloud key. We install it on their servers. It's funny, we're still in contact when we have a company. We did one of our very first Unifi installs, and we were really impressed with it. And we see the company. They have an internal IT team, and they just contract us to come out and install all the cabling, the Unifi, and plug them all in, and they have been thrilled with us. They said they're the early ones, the green ones, 2.4 only, and they said for what they do in their network, it's fast enough because the main computers are hardline, and they've updated the controller themselves, and we showed them how to set it up. We turned it over to them, and they contract us for little jobs here and there when their team doesn't have time to do something. But yeah, it works really well that way. Some people use Raspberry Pis. Yeah. That works too. Yeah. Fing art poisoning network. Can you find some client doing that? I've not seen it on a network. I'm familiar with how the Fing thing works, but I don't like it. I don't think art poisoning a network's a great idea. I mean, it's kind of it happens, but it's a weird way to do it. NetApp. Nope, haven't used any NetApp. I've only had issue with the older. I know there was some, and I think Willie did a video on this, some special methodologies that you had to do to update the older firmware. Like there was like a steps you had to do to make the firmware work properly. I don't remember what they were, and I'm almost positive Willie did a video on it. So do check that. So I know there is a few issues when you're upgrading the older firmware. I remember seeing the issues. I've never experienced them because, well, and I'm not always the one updating them. Steve is sometimes, and Steve is a procedural guy, and he'll follow the steps. Because I know one of the problems we had was we had an older version from like 3 years or 4 years ago backup file that we kept, and the client had done some updating, but then lost the backup file and made a mess, and we had to kind of roll it back and roll it forward, and yeah, you could do some database conversion. Yeah, fun thing was 3 Unifi EP installs, and electricians didn't label any of the wiring they done. Yeah, that happens all the time. Any more news on the Duo acquisition? No. Matter of fact, when I was doing the the Hacker 313 thing, we met at Bamboo Detroit, which is the second office. So Duo's located in Ann Arbor, which is about 30 miles west of Detroit, but they have a second office in Detroit. And we're really close to Detroit. We're only about 10 miles south of Detroit right here. Where we're at, and so we meet at one of the offices, and it's a shared space for Duo. They still have all the same things there. Last time I was there, same people and everything. So we actually laughed because the Duo door was not locked to their office, and it was kicked open. And we're kind of like, "Where's the 2-factor on this?" We're all making jokes about it. So I haven't heard anything more about it at all. That's very high-level stuff, too. So, I mean, Cisco's going to have all the rules. They're going to go back and forth with the CEO, and it'll be a while before it's all disseminated down to there because they don't want to disrupt the clients. They'll probably do things slowly. Duo, and I don't know that they're profitable. They'll probably trade. I'll assume they're profitable because they sell so much of their product. They sell a good service. They have a great service. And if Cisco maintains the same methodologies, I'm sure the company will remain popular. And this is how the market works. Cisco may decide that they want to dramatically increase the price of Duo. Okay, that will mean there'll be a competitor in the market. It's not like that business model is not impossible to reproduce. Duo does a good job of it. Duo did it first, and being first to market means quite a bit. Ask Slack. People keep thinking that Teams is going to kill Slack, and I'm kind of shrugging my shoulders at it going, you sure? Slack is highly valued and not losing. They're still gaining customers because not everyone wants to use Microsoft, the whole Office stack. I know there's a lot of small businesses, and we sell, the Microsoft Office suite, and it works very well for them, but it's not every business is using that, so they're not automatically going to go with Teams. If you're using Microsoft Office 365 and you're paying for it, you may as well use Teams instead of Slack. But Slack has that. We were here first. They have a great app. We use Slack, and we like it a lot, so I don't have any reason to switch. Now, will Google come up with a competitor and incorporate it into my G Suite package? They might, and then I might consider switching from Slack, but I don't know. It ain't broke, don't fix it. Slack works really well for us. So, did you make a video on setting up the Zen server R710? Just bought one to play with. Yeah, I have a video on it. Well, it's not specifically about the R710, but it's just a getting started with Zen server. And the same thing applies, whether you're doing it with the Dell R710 or the hodgepodge pile of parts I had on the table when I set that up. The same rules apply. It's the same thing, and definitely not too hard to do. So The installer goes really smooth. It's really easy to do, so it's not much of a pain at all. So definitely get playing with that. It's a lot of fun. I really like the XCP-NG. So, you know, for those of you maybe that, I still get a lot of comments. I didn't take any of my Citrix ones down because it's all still relevant. Even though it's an older version and it's Citrix, the XCP-NG has not made a far departure from the Citrix, because Citrix is running this off of the open source, so they work in an extremely similar way. The branding is all changed because it's all open source now. It's XCP-NG, and you know, any of the rules that I said, well, only if you buy this Citrix license do you get this feature. Well, those went away. Now XCP-NG gives you all the features on there, so it works really well. RAID. So the RAID settings are not overly specific. Just set it up as RAID. There's not, set up the RAID array however you think it's the most efficient, you know, and I don't know how many drives you have, so you got to kind of take that out. Do you want to build a RAID 10 because you want it faster? Or do you just do the RAID 5 and you're okay with the extra overhead you create by having the parity drive? Those are questions. Or maybe you only have 2 drives and your only options are Stripe or Mir. Go Mir. Stripe is good for speed, but you have twice the likelihood of failure, you know, because either drive fails, you're kind of out of it. So there's not just build it as RAID. There is, and I'm going to work on a video for this, and I know it's in the early days, and I have not had any time to test it. I've been so swamped lately. This is why we hired Eric. You know, we had to hire another technician to start doing more work because it's been a lot of work. And I haven't had any test. I know they're working on some type of integration with ZFS in it and things like that. But right now, they as of the stable versions, I don't know how stably the RAID is inside of it, but it generally will rely on the hardware RAID. Now, it's less relevant for us because we have one R710 that has a standard hardware RAID array. That's our backup server. And then our primary server is a Dell. Then it runs on a FreeNAS box as the storage. So it's iSCSI'd over there. So I have the power of FreeNAS and the ZFS for the RAID array. Hey, the stream's doing great in Albany and the deep south of Western Australia. Keep brain dumps coming. Awesome. All the way to Australia. That's great. Not sure what happened to thin provisioning. Thin provisioning only works when it's on a, what do you call it? It's only thin provisioned when it's on the RAID array, like when it's on the Extent 3 local file system, and I believe it's thin provisioned over NFS, but it's not thin provisioned over iSCSI. So I don't know if they're going to change that in the future. But one of the things is if you have FreeNAS and iSCSI, even though it's not thin provisioned, iSCSI on FreeNAS, because of when you create a ZVOL for there, you get the compression benefits of the ZVOL. So even though it's not thin provisioned, it does compress because CFS can compress things, and you're taking advantage of the file system there. So it's kind of a weird way that works, but it works. So that's kind of interesting there. So it's an issue if it's really important to you for the thin provisioning, though, and you run into problems. Of course, thin provisioning can be dangerous because you can over-provision. And for those of you that are scratching your head at thin provisioning, it's the concept that if I build a virtual machine with a terabyte hard drive, but I'm only using 200 megabytes, well, it only takes up 200 megabytes of space, even though it's allocated as a terabyte hard drive, but it can expand in there. Well, this can get you in trouble because then you could say, I have 10 terabytes of storage, I have 12 machines that are 1 terabyte in there, but they're all using less. So as long as they don't all expand at the same time, I can over provision and live on the edge of life of making a mess. Your install crews, how have you gone about hiring talent? Specifically, do you hire green and train them up so there's a decent talent pool in the Detroit area? I haven't run out of friends to hire. That's one part of the thing. The other problem is I generally don't hire them too green. I hire on passion. So I hire people who I know are very passionate about technology. So I've hired some very green techs. Kyle came in here not knowing a whole lot, but my first meeting with Kyle was he had a hacked phone, and we got a discussion about rooting phones and modifying them. And he does some really custom stuff, so the guy has an aptitude for it. He also worked for a friend doing WordPress development, so Kyle has a background in doing that work too, and design work. So he's not someone who wasn't familiar with technology. He just didn't do everything we did here. And now Kyle does a lot of that. I mean, he spent today setting up a bunch of, he had no idea how to do DNS records. Kyle completely understands how to set up DNS, cPanel, do transitions, do Office migrations and everything else. And we do a lot of on-the-job training. I also, with my guys, I encourage them to take any classes. I don't mind paying for them. Sometimes they just watch a YouTube video on a lot of things and figure it out. But the installers are the same thing. We'll start someone out and just send it out there because sometimes you need a person just to pull wire. It takes the least amount of skill to pull a wire. It actually, so much of it's the planning, even the install stuff, it's about just pull it in the wall. Once you've seen it done, you can train a guy in less than a month on how to do the majority of the work. And then people ask, well, how do you get fast at putting the ends on the cable? Yeah, you go do a job that has 500 drops, and that means 500 are punched down to a patch panel and a bunch of ends on it. And next thing you know, you just got really good at it. It's just time. It's repetition. Do you act as an MSP for anyone in Indiana? Now, we're really working on how we do it. So we always thought of ourselves, and still do, and this is me, you're actively hearing me speak out loud about my business here. We don't really do any remote MSP. We didn't really build it that way. We've always just had access to our clients physically. And we've been really thinking about some business strategy changes that we'll do here to be a remote MSP. So I may expand more into that, and we want to offer some of the IT companies an ability, and I hate the word outsource because a lot of people think outsource, you're sending it overseas or whatever to some very low quality call center that's going to be killer. But we kind of want to be able to partner with other local IT companies and come up with a very good relationship with them, and not really do white label, but kind of do our branding. We want to make sure that we have a name you can trust and you're doing it, because that's where I think there becomes these disconnects where you try to pretend to be that company, and I don't think I like that. I don't want to answer the phone that company's name. I want to answer the phone my name, and we try to figure out how a business model around how that works. I'm very stubborn sometimes, and I like to, if I can't do things different or the way I want to do them, I just won't do them at all. And it's partly because I'm not highly monetarily driven. I know I can make a bunch of money doing it with this thing over here, but if I have no interest in it, I'm not, because I'm not trying to just be the richest guy here. I know strategies that work very well for doing that. I can just hustle business by knocking on doors and just work on that sales, but it doesn't interest me to do so. And I know that I don't want anyone to think that I'm just being pompous or something, like, oh, you're rich, you can say that. I'm like, no, I'm not rich. I just don't have that hardcore monetary pursuit. Like I need a Lambo, man. I need a garage with all these cars. Like, that's not me at all. Oh, let's see. How can you be watching the stream in Albany when you think they had internet there? Oh, I don't know what. I know where Australia is. I don't know where Albany is. You say Albany to me, I think New York. Don't know. USG Pro versus PF Sense for a church. The debate goes on, and I've been testing and playing a little bit more with, I'm going to do a video on Untangle. I like their firewalls, seem to be pretty good too. Here's the thing. It kind of fits on the use case. We really, we've got like these small businesses running Unifis and the Unifi USG Pro firewalls. They have no ports open. There's nothing special. There's not any special configuration. They just need internet so they can get work done. Simple, plain, easy. The Unifis are really nice firewalls for that. They don't have any issues. I don't need a litany of advanced features. pfSense is nice because it has all those advanced features. I need some special routing. I need these things and that thing. Unifi is great for that. But if you just have a simple network, and I say simple, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have a couple segments and a VLAN and things like that. And I love the way the Unifi dashboard is. And this is one of the things that's made Unifi so popular, is that dashboard, is that visibility, is being able to look at a client, see all green across there from our dashboard and go, hey, look, I see all the devices are connected. I see everything. I see where the problem is. I can do a speed test on it. I can do all these little fancy little things in a dashboard. They make it really nice. That's why people like Unifi. And that's why people like me as an MSP go, man, it just makes my life simple to roll it out to these small businesses. It's very cost effective. I don't have these huge recurring fees like you see this with the Meraki and stuff like that. And that's one of those things, like some of these companies have gotten so like, hey, we do it in the cloud, but if you don't pay the bill, then it all just turns off and turns into a brick. I've never liked that as a business model, even though I can guarantee you make a lot more money. Like if you came here looking to make money, don't listen to me. Go get out there, put your Meraki hat on, and start selling recurring revenue for Rocky and become a channel partner and all that. You're going to make more money. Well, I don't know more, but you make a lot of money doing that. And it's not. That's a path you want to go, and awesome, do it. Whatever. So it's different business models. So which one you need kind of depends if you need the feature. Sorry if I got kind of long in the tooth on the answer there. Only have 4 bikes, see? Vince knows, man. You're living that California life, Vince, man. You got to make a lot more money. You got to be doing some of that stuff to make some money. It's a lot out there. Yeah, you do have to think about the overall density and how many users are going to be on there for the church, too. How do you charge a small business for hosting Unifi controller, 5 APs, maybe a couple switches? How do you explain to them the advantages? It's kind of that you just tell them. You're selling them on the security updates. You're selling them on, you'll push anything that goes through. You'll make sure the updates are on there. Unfortunately, and I think this is what I'm seeing just all over the place, people pricing Wi-Fi. And when you look at it, and I've seen, this is how I see it pitched, like to me is, hey, Tom, you should be selling Wi-Fi, man. You could be making like $1,000 a month off these clients because that's what it goes for. Well, nobody knows what it goes for because, as you may know, it's super easy. We're actually taking over someone who got sold into managed Wi-Fi, and we're seeing a lot more of this. We had like 3 different businesses in Detroit that are like, we don't know why we pay them $700 a month for our 3 Wi-Fi units. And I'm like, I don't know either. $700 a month to have 3 access points in an office building seems like a lot. And it turns out that's just the pricing model that this company has, is charging them of that much money, leasing them hardware as a service. So yeah, you think about it, and they're using Unifi. This is my favorite part. They're not using even another brand. And I'm just like, okay, that seems like a lot. And they think so too, so they're switching over to us, and we're not charging them that much a month. We charge them an upfront install fee, put it in, and if they want to pay us a managed fee, a few dollars a month to manage it, we can do that for them. Let's see. Do you work with other companies to handle AV distribution, or have you tried taking on that yourself? HD, Tierra, ITI controller displays. We've fixed a few of them. We haven't really directly worked with any of those companies because we don't always. We're in, like right now, one of the jobs we're doing, they really hate their AV company because something's wrong with the system and they're not good at coming out and looking at it. But we took a look at it and we think it's just some loose cabling. And this is what's sad is they spent $120,000 on putting all their AV stuff in. And this is a big venue and it's in a big arena. Not the sports arena I did a video for. That's different. But this is a client I've not talked about before, and I'm not going to say their name. But it's just a crap job. Whoever did the wiring, it's a rat's nest of just all the wires jumbled together, and like that's how it was installed. It wasn't moved there. It didn't happen over time. They spent $120,000, and that's how it's installed. So, yeah. So it's kind of a mess. We run into that. We don't really work directly with any companies. We see a few of them here and there. All the time we see are using Unifi IP and switches to max about 200 clients a day, only 50/50 internet connection. See, does CodelQ benefit the network internally as well, or mainly benefit network traffic it enters next to the WAN? Yeah, it's really focused on the WAN side, and because we are doing this, we are routing traffic internally. Because our firewall separates out different networks. We have a network for client crap that comes in, like the crappy computers and stuff. We have a network that our computers attach to. And our computers don't attach to the same network as our servers do. So we have a firewall rule that says, all right, the servers are on this network and the other laptops are on this network. And so, yeah, there is some routing on there, but I don't have any queuing between there because this doesn't seem to be an issue because it can my firewall has no problem routing a gigabit. So it comes in a gigabit, I get full gigabit speed because it's high speed to high speed. So I haven't had a need, but if you're dealing with a corporate environment that is massive, and my friend He manages he's on the firewall team for a very large hospital. So they have a series of locations all around the greater Detroit area. I don't remember how many. At one time, I think he said they have 700 switches that he manages. And there is traffic queuing and shaping going on because of the volume at which traffic has to move across, because it's moving across site to site, even though it's over fiber links in between at high speed. So yeah, you can apply it there. It probably, until you're at scale, is non-issue for you for latency and things like that. You need to protect the threat vectors. Start with a desktop PC is a good anti-malware solution. Pair a strong firewall to protect the network. Yeah. Selling stuff's not bad. It's not bad to do it. It's, because you can factor in refreshes, factor in support and maintenance. Yeah, that's all things that are good. PSN's 2.4 update DNS over TLS one step closer to a secure network. Yes, that is a nice feature that got added for sure. What solution did you use to customers management? I don't understand. What solution did I use, like customer management? I don't know what that means. What are the risks against a budget to find a comprehensive solution for that church? Okay. Just like in ours. Yeah, churches sometimes, they don't always have the budget. They're trying to do things on donations, so there can be tricky clients. We've put in Wi-Fi at quite a few churches, and we had one of them. We really pushed them to try to get backups. We got them to install Wi-Fi. We don't do their servers. They have a guy who donates his time. But, even when I go into some of these clients, a lot of times what I say is, hey, do you have backups? Somewhere? Have you tested it? You think the guy's backing up? Try getting him to restore a file. And, yeah, that's, matter of fact, actually, fun story here. So, one of the things I do, because I do go to business networking meetings, for those of you that weren't here before, when I started, one of the reasons I'm doing it late is I was at a Chamber of Commerce event and doing some networking and hobnobbing with people and stuff like that. But when I do my sales pitch, I get a lot of chuckles out of it. What am I ask? So what an ask is, a lot of times if you do a business pitch, when you're going around and people introduce themselves at like an event and at like a business networking event, and one of the things is, what's your ask? What is it that you do, and what are you looking for? What is the thing you would like someone to ask you to do? And my ask frequently, when I only have a short amount of time, will be like, hey, I'm asking everyone here if you can check your backups. Go ahead and delete a file. Try to restore that file. If you can't restore it, you don't have a backup plan, give me a call. If you restored it, great, patch your IT guy on the back. You kind of play around with it, but that's one of those little things that I do push a lot, is to have backups, because unfortunately, I never like people to say you didn't tell me, and I don't want to be pushy. I always ask them, hey, do you have a backup? I'm not beating them over the head with it, but at least I said something. And unfortunately, that same church we put Wi-Fi in 2 years later lost pretty much all their documents, and because the guy who thought it was backing up wasn't backing it up, and he let a credit card expire on an iDrive account, so they had it, and then when the credit card expired, they only had up till that backup, and yeah, it was unfortunate. So $40 per month per AP is a stellar deal. Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on, are you leasing them the hardware for the $40 a month? Is it the hardware included flat, or do you charge them up front an install fee for that as well? So I guess it's kind of how you have to look at that. Talk about a database with your clients with information about them, also what devices they have, etc. We use a wiki. You can find that in there. Look for wiki in my channel, and you'll find out how we manage things in a wiki with a database. We use Invoice Ninja and a wiki. All right. Protect them all behind a good layer 4 firewall. L4 firewall. So that's what you mean, layer 4. So, okay, hopefully that was helpful. And my stream still looks pretty decent here, so I'm happy. I think CodelQ I think we've answered the question. I can change the name of the live stream to CodelQ fixed my live stream. So that's one good thing. I'm looking at, I can see there's a stream health thing you have on the screen here when I'm doing YouTube. It tells me how good the stream is. which I need to do an updated studio tour for those of you wondering what else is around me that makes all this work, how I set it up. So yeah, that's still on my to-do list to do, and I'll be doing it soon because I was actually waiting for a light to break. So, because we had one light that was kind of meh, and it finally broke. It's one I've had for a couple years, and I knew it was going to break eventually. Now I got LED lights all the way around, and that was one of the things I was waiting because it always looked kind of stupid with the lighting I had. Now the lighting is gotten, I don't know if you've noticed it. I have it. It's easier too. It's a little bit better, higher quality lights because they're all LEDs now. So, oh, I'm only in 480. I don't know. So I don't. Yeah. I thought it was more than 480. Strange. Anyways, yeah, I will do a studio tour for all the lights I have, what's behind me, like I said, everything I have is LED right now. So I'll do that. I'll talk about the camera I have and how the camera goes from there to there, through the ceiling and down the wall. And there's a TV over here I can see myself on, and the streaming boxes over here. So, yeah. The LEDs make Tom look pink. Probably. I think I need to adjust the color. Since I switched to full LED, I think the color temperature is wrong. And I don't have the color white balance set to auto, and it probably has me looking pretty red. It also could be because I was drinking at the event. Not much, but I had a few beers before I got here. Not much. So I don't know. He's white pink anyways. Yeah, it's Michigan. I am. I'm also Indian, so I have a different hue to myself, I guess. It's also I can't grow a beard. I'm Cherokee Indian, something like that. I don't know. I don't follow my heritage much. Personal opinion. Got a customer that got a Ruckus H310 access point last year. Should we make them switch to Unifi? Ain't broke, don't fix it. And there's a debate going on my Twitter about Unifi versus Ruckus, and I'm just letting those people have at it. And I don't know that Ruckus makes. We have only seen a few of them. They seem to be fine. I don't know anything wrong with them, and I don't think. And this is weird thing that people do. They think because I like a product, I must hate the other product. They're like, "Hey Tom, you have a Unifi in your hand. You must hate every other Wi-Fi, right?" No, not at all. Matter of fact, we just installed a bunch of, because it's what the client had, we did a bunch of work, and I got to admit it was a little weird, but we did some work with Ingenious. And matter of fact, I did a project for a traveling carnival, and they had started with Ingenious. They had it. It was configured wrong, and they were blaming the hardware. And they said, oh, no, these people told us to buy this Ingenious and it ain't working right. And I said, well, I know how to set it up with the Unifi, but let's take a look at it. I took a look at it, and without buying any other hardware, just my time to reconfigure, it took me, 2 billable hours to reset up an entire network for Carnival, make it all deployable, and put the whole thing together. And it works fine. They're using Ingenious. I'm not, would I go out and buy one? No, but it worked fine. We had a school we took over that had HP, I want to say they were at HP, is it ProCurve? We managed and reconfigured that entire network, all the VLANs, everything set up, and it worked fine. We didn't have a problem with it. We didn't tell them you have to switch to Unifi or this won't work. We just went and set it all up and charged us for our time, and they were happy. We were happy. I think technicians get pigeonholed and they only want to learn a single product. And granted, I do talk a lot about pfSense because I know it really well, but we were configuring a VPN and a sonic wall today because that's what needed to be done. It's a managed client too. The sonic wall is not broken. It is under warranty. It is not out of date. It is up to date. And why should I tell them to replace it? All their locations. They have VPNs between their locations. It works. Why should I tell them to rip it out? I don't really like the interface for a sonic wall, but there's nothing wrong with it. All the things are working exactly like they're supposed to. So we don't tell clients to rip things out if there's not a problem. So what else we got here? Too many peppers. Dude inside the most fortified concrete building in the bathroom stall with the crappiest $40 phone. The quality is impossibly high. What the hell? Let's see. Oh, my mom's part Cherokee too. Cool. Yeah, that's I got it on both sides of my family. Sell Unifi. Yeah, I don't know how much the Ruckus costs. I haven't priced them. Do, 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 do. Tom's a carny and proud of it. Yeah, why not? pfSense or OpenSense. I have not done any testing with OpenSense. It's nothing has compelled me about OpenSense. We have 0 clients with it, so I haven't had any direct experience on it. So, yeah, limiting your hardware. It's hard being diverse in things, but if you understand the principles of how firewalls work, generally speaking, you can get your way through a lot of them. The downside is there are some firewalls that are overly complicated, and you can end up accidentally leaving them open. And this is where, everyone loves the MikroTik routers. I see a lot of people ask me to review them. They're very inexpensive, but my understanding is they're just not easy to configure. Now, this has actually been, I've seen a couple of great discussions on Reddit about this, where the company got completely hacked because the guy had taken over as the IT person and didn't quite understand a firewall that was all like custom written firewall that was all done from the command line. And the person kind of didn't understand it real well and accidentally left a couple ports open when they were testing something, and it led to them being hacked. So they did a debrief on Reddit, and I can't find a thread right now. This has been a while ago, but it made me think a lot about, yeah, when you roll these custom solutions, they can be security through obscurity, but if they're hard for the people to use and hard for them to audit, well, you can end up with open rules and accidental oopses. And yeah, by the way, in the MikroTik was one of the ones that was a victim of this. They have templates that leave things wide open. So you need to understand the firewall, at least to the extent to secure it. And we had someone who clearly didn't know how to set up the pfSense properly. We took over, and we're happy to see pfSense in the building. Then we're like, wow. They just opened up all the ports on the firewall. They had RDP open without it being filtered, pointing at the servers directly. And I'm like, this is a mess. Here's the weird part. They had an active working VPN, but they were only using it for file shares. They left RDP wide open to the world, even though it was a mess. And here's a good firewall, but the people configuring it clearly did not know how to configure it. They just put an asterisk, like a wide open firewall rule, on the firewall. And they put that as a top rule and then put other rules underneath it. And I'm like, I don't understand why they did it this way. They just didn't know what they were doing. Does Detroit have fiber internet? Yes. We have a lot of fiber here. Matter of fact, Detroit is, we have Rocket Fiber. We have Level 3 provides fiber. We have AT&T fiber. We have Comcast pulling fiber, and we have Wide Open West pulling fiber. And at least 2 of those, any 2 of those combinations, is available in huge amounts of the Wayne County area and Detroit area. Now, Wayne County is the county that Detroit resides in, and we actually have a lot of fiber in the area. My neighbors have fiber from Wide Open West. Wide Open West has been trying to pitch me on it because they brought it to the building and they want me to switch to it. And hey, I'm thinking about it if the offer's right. So, Ruckus AP pricing for a Wave 2 AC MEU MIMO. Wow, that is a big difference. So, yeah, so Ruckus. And I did, because they were arguing and Ruckus was chiming in on the debate of Unifi versus Ruckus. And I just tagged Ruckus in the tweet saying, mail me one and I'll do a review of it. But I haven't had a compelling reason to go buy a Ruckus and do a review, because I don't have any clients asking me to deploy it specifically, so we haven't. I have fiber in my diet, my city fails. Yeah, that happens. It's not everywhere, unfortunately. So, what are you going to do? One day we'll have fiber all over the place. That day isn't today. That's what I can tell you. That day isn't today. Well, it's been about an hour, so I think I'm going to, so I don't nod off. So, I'm going to probably see, oh boy, more tweets. It's probably more people arguing. Because, my Twitter is where an argument will go. Anyways, that's fun. So I am pretty exhausted, though, because I'm only going on a few hours of sleep due to the festivities I attended yesterday for TEDx Detroit. If you want to laugh, or see my friends who I was hanging out with, look for Podcast Detroit IT and a D. I'll plug their the IT and a D podcast. You can look them up. They're hysterical. They're going to talk about their TEDx experience. If I can find it, I'm going to share the video because it all gets processed after the event's over of their TED talk because it's really funny because they just talked about how their life is in IT and drinking, and it's a weird TED talk, and that's why I loved it. So. Yeah, I didn't give a TED talk. I've been there, but I have not given a TED talk. People asking about Unraid. I don't have any use case for Unraid. So Unraid, I don't have anything against Unraid, but I don't use it. Therefore, I don't know much about it, and I don't have a use case that makes me want to use it. I'm a big FreeNAS person. Unraid has some cool features. Linus Tech Tips has talked a lot about it. He seems to really like it. I don't, there's nothing I have to do. And my problem with it, if I test something, I really test it. I put it in some use case, not just turn it on. Hey, look, it turned on. Hey, look, in a perfect scenario, I set it up and I'm kind of loading artificial loads on it. If I do something, I want to not artificially test it. I want to actually use the device and test it. That's why when people say, what about OpenSense? I'm like, I don't have a use case for one, but I don't have a way to load test it. I have to then set it up and load test it. And I'm like, will I ever deploy this? Now on Tangle, on the other hand, I'm actually building and load testing so I can make sure it works the way I expect it to work, that it does the things I want it to do. So I'll be doing a review of it, not just how to install it or set it up, but like what does it actually work like. I like to use things and use the product a lot. That way I'm giving you a more thing. It's also why I'm not doing reviews on SonicWall. Like, I'm able to set the VPM up on SonicWall. It was like, okay, go here, go here. I read through the instructions. Okay, it makes sense. Okay, this button's over here. So I'm not a wizard at it, and I don't. That's why I'm not doing. I know it works. It's been working for years for this client, but I don't do them every day, so I don't do videos on them. So use FreeNAS justifies NAS for free. So I followed it. Now it's called Xing NAS, but sets the names apart. Yeah. Free PBX, oh yeah, free PBX works great. Haven't had any problems with there at all. So that's, we haven't had, knock on wood, free PBX just works smoothly. I'm really happy with that. That's not been a problem. We haven't decided if it's a thing we want to deploy it. We have clients that are running it, but we haven't really actively engaged in selling it to all our clients. We're trying to decide how we're going to do that. I'm overly cautious about how I do things, and so we're really waiting and putting a plan together for the phone system. And I'm like, I should pull the trigger and do it, and this is me talking out loud about my business. And it's just, I just haven't. I'm so caught. I'm overly cautious. It probably curtails my growth of my company. I won't lie. But I'm also happy, and I don't want to do things that would make me unhappy. So there's that. And sometimes I don't want to do other things. I just want to sit and do the things I play with and play with Linux stuff and sit around in my office, which doesn't mean I'm doing other things. So, yeah. Yeah, Sangoma acquired Digium. That is interesting. And Sangoma also, and I seen Chris reviewed them, they have some less expensive offerings on their phone. And that it does make it more attractive because some of my clients, right now, I have a client, their phone system is from 1993. It's just the most basic system you can get. So they're happy with it. They just know because it's 20-something years old, it's going to break soon. They're looking at it like maybe we should replace it. So you can wow them with a really simple system around here. We don't have a lot of places that have complicated phone systems here. So the simplistic offerings that Sangoma has are very cost effective for them, and it's, they make a high quality system, but if they're not going to use all the bells and whistles, then it may be a great idea and it may work really well for them. So I don't know, different things that we're looking into. So definitely on my to-do list. I don't know that I'm gonna do a bunch of videos on it, but it's something we might dig a little bit more into. All right, before I just kind of nod off, if you can't tell, I'm winding down and I have to drive home. Like my 3 miles I have to drive to get home. So good news is not too far. So yeah, awesome. I'm glad I got some new people. So Alan, glad to have you on the vlog. So I will sign off. But yeah, awesome that I got a different crowd. Maybe I'll do some afternoon ones. I'm definitely a night owl. I do stay up kind of late, but not after a party night. So now I just need to get some sleep. I know You can tell how I plan my life. Like, it's not an accident that I have a building currently 3 miles from my house. Like, this was strategy. This is not accidental. This wasn't just happenstance. Yeah, I don't like driving. Not in traffic. Hey, what do you recommend? A home server room, 4x8 room, 500, 700 watts of electronics. I was running circulating air. I don't understand the question of what you're asking to recommend. Oh, to cool a home server room. They make those split air conditioners, the small ones. We put those in. Well, we've recommended they be put in, as I should put. I don't install split air conditioners. But sometimes you have server rooms that are kind of like you said, like a 4x8 room that we built, and because there'll be a lot of servers or they'll have a full rack in there, we'll have them mount at the ceiling level. They'll put them on there. Also, think about this. Make sure that it's on the opposite side of the wiring. Usually like above the door, some of them go, because if it does drip or leak, you don't want it leaking on the wires or any of the server equipment. And yeah, you can get them. I think they're called split air conditioners. That's what I've called them. There may be a more technical term that eludes me right now, but they're popular. We've seen them in a lot of rooms. Sometimes it just gets put in. When they do the building build out, it just becomes part of what the HVAC company recommends. They're like, where's your server room? All right, we're going to put this in here. That or they'll install extra ventilation. But see, with the split server room, your server room gets hot at a different rate than the rest of the building. That's why you kind of want to have your own HVAC system for it. Wendell from Level 1 Techs did a building a good server room video. Watch that. He's got a lot of great tips in that. That's definitely, I like that. So, ductless 8, yes, that's it. Mini split system, ductless split unit. Yep. Heat pump, yes, because it doesn't actually. Here's an important thing that if you're doing a good design, you don't need air to circulate in and out of a server room, because that's where dust will come in. What you do want is the heat to leave. So that when they call a split system, one piece is inside and it's only recirculating the existing air and cooling it. It's not exchanging the air with the rest of the building, so you keep less dirt in there. Yeah, a heat pump. So maybe I'll do, I thought about that. Wendell's video was good on how to build a server room, and I've been involved in a lot of these, and this is something that maybe I'll do some videos on as well, about some of the thoughts and processes that go into building that. As I know some people, and I can probably maybe I can get some tours of some server rooms and things like that. So, all right, awesome, thanks. I'm gonna stop the stream and nod off. Make my journey home. All right, thanks for everyone. Oh, and I'll mention this too. In the doobly-doo, we have our shirts available, so there's some shirts in there. We ordered some for ourselves that we're going to have so we can wear them during, if they arrive in time for the next vlog. But you guys can look at the stuff we're offering, and we plan to get more in there. So I'll leave you with that, because I said at the beginning, and that was like an hour ago, and there's a lot more people here now. All right, thanks.